Okay, this is number 4 from the test we just got back, and it is about inverse variation. The number of workers varied inversely with the number of hours it took to do the job. If there were 21 workers, the job took 5 hours. How many workers will be needed to get the job done in 2 hours? So we need to set up an inverse variation. We do that by saying that the number of workers was equal to K over the number of hours. So this is an inverse variation, and that's how we set it up. Now we are going to fill in more information that they gave us. So if there were 20 workers, the job took 5 hours. So we're going to put 20 in for the number of workers, and we're going to put 5 in for the number of hours, and then we're going to multiply both sides by 5 to get K equals 100. Now we can take that 100 and we can fill that in for K when we put in the next part of the problem. We want to know how many workers would it take to get the job done quicker, like in 2 hours. So we're going to put that in for our H, and we're going to put 100 in for K, and then we will be able to know how many workers it will take. So W equals 100 over 2, which means 2W equals 100, and that means that it would take 50 workers to do the job in 2 hours. Okay, now we want to add these two vectors. They are written in polar coordinates, and we can't add them in polar coordinates, so we have to change them to rectangular coordinates. And to do that, we are going to have to graph them so we can see what quadrant they're in and what their x and y coordinates are. So for 30, 45 degrees, starting at 0 degrees, we are going to rotate counterclockwise 45 degrees, and we're going to go out from the origin 30 units. So that is where that point is going to be located. And we're going to drop the altitude down perpendicular to the x-axis. And now we are going to use sine and cosine to figure out what our x and y coordinates are. And we're going to remind ourselves that we're in the first quadrant, so the values for x and y will both be positive. So we'll use cosine to find x. So 30 cosine 45 is about 21.21. So that would be our x coordinate. And then if we do sine for our y coordinate, 30 sine 45 is about 21.21 also, because this triangle has both sides the same length because it has a 45-degree angle. So that is our point, 21.21, 21.21, or 21.21r plus 21.21u. So that is the first vector. Now we're going to look at the second vector, 10, 160 degrees. So we are going to rotate 160 degrees this time. And then we're going to go out 10 from the origin. And now we know we are in the second quadrant, so our x will be negative and our y will be positive. And we know that that little angle that's left there is 20 degrees. Now we're going to use sine and cosine to find x and y. So 10 cosine 20 degrees is about 9.40, and 10 sine 20 degrees is about 3.42. So that point is going to be negative 9.40 and 3.42, or we could write it negative 9.4r plus 3.42u. And so now all we need to do is add these two vectors together. We've got 21.21, 21.21, and we're going to add 9.40, 3.42. And when we add those together, we end up with 11.81, 24.63.